everyone, and welcome to the Boopcast, episode 23, and I just noticed everything on Skype is buggered up. We're having a wonderful day trying to get this blinking podcast to work. We are your host, SheNoob, and you can't see his face.
Cory.
I'm fixing it. Wait.
I'm just a floating head.
Yeah, wait. I'm fixing it.
Like, I know you want Adam Taurus beheaded, but it doesn't mean you have to put me like this just because I'm wearing his mask.
I fixed it. There we go.
Jesus.
Sorry, I forgot that when I turn off my video, it moves everything around. And we're missing somebody, as you can see. Cinder is supposed to be here and is not. I don't know where he is, and I can't get a hold of him. So, we have not done the icebreaker yet. Hopefully he shows up. But I don't know what's going on.
Hopefully.
It's been one of those mornings. So, welcome everybody. We hope you enjoy regardless. And this week we have not Cinder, but we have EmperialDawn with us, who most of you will probably know. But for anyone who may not, could you tell us who you are and what you do?
Hi everyone, and the Boopcast viewers and all the SheNoob's lovely fans. I am EmperialDawn. I am a Ruby fan artist. I've been doing Ruby fan art for about 1.5 years now, and I majorly just, not that I like to say it this way, but I guess I'm just a screenshot redrawer or whatever. I hate saying that. But basically, yeah, I just do Ruby art, and I do it 3 times a week, and I do similar style podcasts myself. But I'm really excited, and I've loved Ruby since the end of Volume 3, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts and opinions with the rest of you guys, so it'll be fun.
Yes, EmperialDawn and Nerds of Oz have their own Ruby podcast every Saturday?
Yes. Saturday, 12:30 East Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Yes, and it's called Corner of Remnant. So if you want to check if you want to check that out, you can subscribe to Nerds of Oz's YouTube, which I'm sure will pop up in the chat at some stage, which doesn't appear to be working for me, the chat, which is frustrating.
Oh, there you go.
I just saw Chozo.
There we go.
I saw Chozo.
Hey, Chozo.
Twitch is having issues. Cory's computer's been having issues. We're missing somebody altogether. It's going well. Alright.
I'm fine. I've been good.
You're fine. You were here early. Like, the rest of us...
I was here half an hour early.
The rest of us are disorganized. I'm not even wearing pants.
Dude,
I'm in my pajamas. So... Alright, yeah, so chapter 8. What was this chapter called again?
Alone Together.
Alone Together.
Yeah.
The show must go on, exactly, Chozo, is what we're discussing today. So, I have notes. They're not comprehensive, though, but I struggled to take notes for this one, actually.
I did too. It was very, like, a lot of dialogue, and I was like, I wanted to just write it all down, but I was like,
Yeah, it was either you write something down or nothing.
Yeah,
exactly. All kind of one big package to kind of absorb, especially the first half. The latter half of Menagerie is a bit more, I guess, noteworthy, but that's just because all of the first half was just so self-contained, and so, like, it was just, again, like I said, it's something you ought to absorb at once. Yeah. I feel. Yes,
there was plenty of substance, but not a lot to really say about it, which is interesting. So yeah, we'll just start at the beginning like we usually do. So the episode opens in Mistral. There's a gorgeous sweeping bird's eye shot, which I loved at the start of the episode, over the sort of cliff looking down onto the town below.
Bird's eye being very appropriate.
Yeah, bird's eye being rather accurate, yeah. There's been a lot to do with, like, birds as symbolism in this volume in particular, and those white doves we've seen more than once.
Yeah, I remember on Ruby Rewind, I don't remember who it was or what episode it was, but they had mentioned how Cory has very specifically said how much he wants birds to be representation in this volume. So it was a very particular thing by Cory to have a lot of scenes of birds, and not just the barn winds, but like doves and seagulls or whatever they're meant to be. I assume seagulls, at least. In Menagerie, there were seagulls, they probably reused them as doves here, I guess, I would probably say. But yeah, so apparently Kerry is very much wants the birds to be a very inaugural part
Yeah.
going forward. Seeming.
I feel like birds have been very significant even since Volume 3 was when the
Yeah, they
trend
just
really
weren't-
first started, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just they weren't shoved in our face because they were meant to be more of a mystery in terms of the wins. But now that we know, it's more like, okay, now we're gonna actually be a bit more obvious with our bird references. So it's like, okay, fair enough.
And, like, obviously, Ruby is looking at the birds, and she must be thinking about, like, what she's been told about Crow and that, and, like, wondering what it must be like to be able to fly and move about freely like that, perhaps, or maybe she's just staring at birds because they're interesting. I don't know, but yeah.
Ruby is a little bit of an airhead, so
Yeah,
you know,
well,
whatever she would.
The first time I noticed the bird symbolism, obviously, was the very beginning of Volume 3, when they had the birds flying to the sun to signify Monty's symbol. And then in that volume, you know, we saw Raven, even though we didn't know it was Raven, throughout the volume. And then at the very end, we first learned that Crow has the ability to transform into a bird in the post-credits scene. So those were really the only incidents in Volume 3 I can think of. But since then, they have been very symbolic.
But they've also shown up. They've also shown up in Volume 1 in the original trailers.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, we've seen birds before. Yeah.
But it wasn't until Volume 3 that we kind of started to think they had more significance, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the camera work in this episode was just gorgeous. I was loving the way they were moving the camera. It was very dynamic, and like the next shot is when Ruby's looking up at the sky, and Yang kind of pops into the frame. That perspective shot from Ruby lying on the ground.
Yeah, because we've never seen anything like that.
No, not in this
Ruby
show.
before. That kind of perspective.
Yeah, that kind of perspective, and the way Ruby says "Hey sis" here is was really interesting to me. The way she delivered that
Seemed very endearing.
Very endearing, and like
that was the word I thought of.
I got a sense of even almost like disbelief from her deliverance of that line. That like, it's something that she can actually finally say. Like her sister's finally here with her.
Yeah, it's still not something that she can even believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very like happy that suddenly, you know, she's like it's not a dream, like, you know, hi sis, like you're here.
Hey sis.
Yes, yeah, that's
exactly.
good. That's a good way to think of it.
And then Yang being cute with her, like booping her hair in her face. You know, it's nice to get these little kind of moments between them because they don't have a lot of time to just be sisters anymore. And like, as we learn later in the episode, Yang was majorly responsible for raising her sister. So they have...
Yeah, so like, she didn't even have time to really be her sister growing up.
She
had to be the mother.
A big sister and a mother, which is tough on a little girl. And we've observed their relationship from a different standpoint throughout the previous volumes, in that Yang is not the same person now that she used to be. She's been through quite a emotional and physical transformation.
Well, I mean, none of them are. Ren was the point. Ren was trying to get over last episode, especially Weiss. You know.
Oh, especially Weiss.
And,
yeah.
And that comes in the next scene.
Yeah.
Just how much of a different character she is.
Exactly.
But with Yang, sure.
Yeah, Yang has been through a traumatic experience, and it has changed her. It has, I don't want to say it's made her more angry, but it's definitely a lot of her.
It's. I would say it's rocked her foundation.
It has.
She's a bit more. She's a bit more like, I don't want to say unstable, but even then you see in her aggression she has in this scene, and everyone's shocked by it. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things where again, like her I cannot say unstable, but her foundation is just a bit out of whack.
I can't help but recall something Weiss said in Volume 3 after all the in Chapter 8 of Volume 3, after all the business with Mercury happened in the arena, and Weiss said to her, "You're hot-headed but not ruthless." And I feel like now she is ruthless, which
she's almost getting there.
She's getting there. Like, the way she behaved in the bandit camp, especially, made her come across as a bit ruthless. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of the big things going into Volume 4, and I guess also Volume 5, was the question is, was Yang going to start becoming like Raven? Like, that was one of the potential paths the character could have gone on, and obviously she hasn't done that. She's dealt with the PTSD, and now she went on to find Ruby. But could we still get that? Could we still get the fact that maybe she does, just because of all the shit she's gone through, end up like her mother? You know? Is that now the path we might be seeing her going on almost?
Yeah, and she's...
Now, I don't think we have enough to suggest that, but it could be a possibility.
Yeah, she's definitely got a lot of hang-ups to do with the whole event, and not just about losing her arm, but about other things as well, which we'll discuss in the next scene.
It's definitely it's not the arm that's bothering her.
It's not the biggest issue.
She's almost dealt with that to a degree. Again, apart from the PTSD, but she accepted the arm. I mean, even until like last episode, you know, she was pretty casual about it. But yeah, it's the stuff with Blake that is really still getting to her, eating her up inside.
So Weiss pops out with coffees for everybody, and I liked this little thing between her and Ruby, where Ruby was like, "Please do not give me coffee, that shit's gross." And Weiss says, "I put in blasphemous amounts of cream and sugar just for you."
Which is, of course, the awesome callback to their first kind of
cream and 5 sugars. Yeah, exactly. Why do Americans call it cream? I don't get that. It's milk. It's just milk, isn't it? Like,
I don't know. I feel like it's no.
There is a slight difference. I think technically call it. I think what technically they put in it is half and half. What we call half and half.
Ew.
So it's half milk, half cream.
We don't. I just think we just don't use cream. We just use milk. Whereas they don't use milk. They use cream.
I couldn't even fathom the idea of putting cream in coffee. It just sounds disgusting to me.
Well, it's hot. Well, basically, it's hot, so it melts. It just ends up being like milk anyway.
It would curdle it, surely.
Yeah. But it's one of those. I remember seeing this scene, and I was like, a part of me keeps wanting to see a one-on-one Ruby Weiss moment, like. But at the same time, I keep thinking back. You know, I don't know. I think so fondly of these characters. I think almost they're closer than I think they're closer than they actually are. Like, they're close, obviously, and they love each other. But I guess, you know, apart from maybe Blake and Yang, they're not all like as close as maybe I think they are.
Yeah.
So, and just seeing this little scene here was like a nut. It's like, oh, that's cute, and that's where the connection is. It's not as personal. And again, I'm not a shipper by any means, but I think that's almost what I was expecting. We haven't gotten that. And I don't think we will, because I just don't think that's their friendship.
No.
You know. It's this kind of more playful stuff. And even in episode 7, where like Ruby was like, "Why is she not cheering loud enough?" You know, it's that kind of, that's their friendship. That's their connections.
They have a real camaraderie between them, because they are... I think it's different in the sense that the 4 of them didn't choose to be together. They were thrown together. So, and they sort of had to adapt to their situation. They knew, alright, we've got to get along or this is going to be hellish, you know? And they didn't always get along. They had their differences, but they worked them out. And I feel like the thing that makes it easy for them to get along is that they all share a common purpose, which is they all want to be huntresses and they all want to help people and save the world. So,
which again is the same thing that Raven mentioned in episode 6. Now she mentioned that whole thing about Team Ruby being the poster children because they all come from different backgrounds but all want the same goal.
Exactly, yeah.
And so it's almost interesting, like maybe that's almost why Team Stark seemingly ended off on bad terms, because they all had different ideals and interests and why they were together. Maybe that's why they were never as close as we see Team Ruby is. If we ever, get into Team Stark, which I'm sure we will eventually.
Well, I mean, obviously Team Stark came a bit closer than Team Ruby, but, you know, Tai Yang. So... I feel like, it's different because they're 4 people who were strangers and then suddenly it expected to trust each other with their lives, which is quite a significant
Mhm.
thing. You know, they fought together for a year, and they worked together as a team, as warriors, essentially. And it's a different relationship to what you would find with say, 4 people who just became friends of their own accord. And
you look at it too, where it's like all these characters. You know, Weiss had no one. She had no one her own age. She was always a family or client. You know, and you have Yang, who again probably didn't have time for friends because she was always too busy with her own thing. I mean, we knew she had friends she went with at Beacon too. We knew that at the start of Volume 1. Not that we ever saw them. Ruby again was probably too, probably too sheltered, probably in her own head too much to really have friends. And then Blake, the friends she did have, she had to leave. And again, we even see the thing later on where Weiss is mentioning how, you know, Blake was so sheltered and contained because, and then the universe proved her right. And that's the thing too, you gotta remember, they worked together for a year. That's not something that's always seen so much on the show, but like, you know, they have been together for a year, and these 4 people don't have best pasts when it comes to these kind of friendships or connections. So I think that just proves, you know, just how much they do care about you. And Weiss, you know, makes that really clear in the next scene as well, just how much she really does care. Even if she doesn't show it, or even if, you know, it's, you know, they really do care about each other. Because in this world, you know, it's just like one of those things where it's like the people you got to cherish people you around. Because, you know, in a world where people can die and every day with the Grimm, it's just these connections really must mean a lot to these characters.
It's a harsh reality, obviously. Definitely. And
definitely.
I feel like they're just starting to realize the significance of just how harsh it is, like the situation that they're in, and how utterly fucking screwed they are. So I think that's starting to dawn on them. No pun intended.
Hey.
So
yeah.
Ruby, for all her complaining about drinking coffee, downs it in one
Chugs
go.
the thing.
Chugs the thing like it's orange juice. I don't like orange juice. Bad example.
Because it's probably not even coffee. It's probably just nothing but cream and sugar. Like, why didn't even put anything in it?
Well, I mean, putting creamer or milk and then 5 sugars into a coffee, I wouldn't drink that. That would be too sweet, sickly sweet.
I don't even drink coffee, and I didn't, like, you know, so I wouldn't even know. But it's just, it doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound great.
I usually only drink coffee during the podcast because otherwise I'm not awake. But I don't have coffee today. It's just one certain way to ruin coffee, in my opinion. Any more than 1 sugar, and it's disgusting. So
I'll take your word on it.
We finally got to hear Ruby, Weiss, and Yang discuss Blake in this scene.
Yeah.
It was good to finally hear them bring her up. You know, Ruby says, "I wish Blake could be here with us." Weiss kind of shares the sentiment, I feel like, and of course Yang is pissed off at her still, rightfully so.
And I'm glad that's the direction they took it with. I'm glad that they do have this resentment there. It'll make their that much more.
Yeah.
Were there people who doubted that Yang would be angry?
I know, right? I've got written down here because Ruby says to her, "Are you still mad at her for leaving?" Fucking duh, she is. Of course she's still mad. Like, Ruby, seriously. Bitch took an arm for Blake and she pissed off. Of course she's angry. You know, she's got every right to be.
No, she definitely has, but I could also see them, you know, it's like, I could have seen them going in the direction of like, well, you know, Yang still cares for her. You know, I could have seen them go in that direction. But again, I'm glad, because it's more character for Yang to be mad at Blake. So, yeah, I'm just really... The more animosity between... Because again, all these reunions have been fun. Like, we need something a bit more of a dramatic... Well, I wouldn't say dramatic, but, you know... Yeah, it just... Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
Definitely. And, like, I know that if I was in Yang's position, I would be angry. I'd be demanding answers. I'd be like, what the hell is wrong with you, Blake? Definitely. So, you know, I'd totally justify her being angry with Blake for nicking off. Like, that was a shitty thing to do. But, at the same time, I understand why Blake did it. And I'm
Yeah.
frustrated for Yang that she doesn't know why. But in the...
Well, I mean, we say that, but again, we know that Yang knows who Adam is. We know that Blake has mentioned Adam in the past. Yang might piece it together herself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Based on what we see her with her conversation with Weiss later,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like she's just so much in like, you left me wrong kind of
she's
thing.
very
and,
blinded
like,
by...
Weiss is finally forcing her to like think about Blake in this whole thing.
She's very blinded by how hurt and angry she is over her friend leaving her, rather than actually spending this time thinking about, okay, why would she do that? Because even when Ruby tries to bring it up at the end of Volume 3, she says there has to be a reason, and Yang says, no, there doesn't. And it's like, she just doesn't even want to entertain the idea of, like, okay, she's just so focused on, Blake left me, even though I took this huge hit for her. And,
Which is
hasn't...
funny, too, because she said that, she said that because that's what Crow told her back in a few episodes before that. So it's like, God damn it, Cory, you get some bad life advice there. Now you made these two friends hate each other.
Yeah, so the next scene is it's a very short scene of Blake with Sun involved, and I found it a bit. Ilya left her a piece of paper stuck to the outside of the balustrade that she might find. I was like, it's a bit of a She could have just not seen that altogether. And she just happens to brush her fingers upon it. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, bit contrived.
Well, I think because, that scene ended with like a long shot on the forest. I'm sure Ilya was there, so I'm sure if she didn't find it, she would have...
there was a sound in the trees. She was
so I'm sure Ilya was there, so I'm sure she would have done something else if she didn't find the note. Like, that was like her easiest thing to do that wouldn't cause like any sort of situations. Like, okay, I can do this here, she might find it, and that's the easiest way to get her away without a confrontation here. So I'm sure she would have gone up to
I don't think she would have necessarily approached her because she needed to lure her away. Yeah. But I think she would have like done something to like draw her attention over there.
Like she was monitoring the situation because obviously Blake might not have found that. Ilya was still monitoring the situation just in case.
And I was glad to see Blake was actually using her head in this scene. Like, she gets this note from Ilya. She suspects it might be a trap. She doesn't trust her necessarily. Especially after Ilya's outburst in the courtyard a few episodes ago.
Yeah.
So she has the foresight to sort of say out loud, I'll meet you there, I've got to take care of something first, but then still say to Sun, hey, look, you know, Ilya's given me this note, I don't trust her, come be my backup.
I'm so happy she did that. I'm so happy she did that.
That's the thing that I always wondered, because on my first time through, I didn't catch it. But she says thanks for the backup, and my first time through, I mean, this is later, she says thanks for the backup. And on my first watch through, I was just like, I almost thought she kind of took it as like a, hey, thanks for stalking me sort of thing.
No.
But on my second watch through, I was kind of like, oh wait, did she like
She just said that for Ilya's benefit, and then would have gone to Sun and been like, hey, this is the situation. I'm glad she actually used her head where that was concerned. She had the foresight to do that. So
for someone who's so adamant on, you know, not getting help and fixing it all herself, it's such a good step for a character to have given Sun the foresight, even if it's a situation that's as personal as the one of Ilya.
Adamant, you made it fun.
I just wondered because I was like. I was confused because, like, wait, did they have a conversation where she said, hey, shadow me to this meeting? Because even though the note specifically said, come alone. So I was like, did she just know that, you know, did she just, like, try to give Sun, like, the feeling that something was, like, wrong, kind of, and be like, I want you to follow me, but didn't explicitly tell him, follow me, kind of. Yeah. That was the thing that was, like, I was confused about, because I was like, Sun was gonna come, so I was just wondering if, like, she told him, hey, I'm going to this meeting with Ilya, blah, 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 or if she was just like, I know you're going to come anyway, so I'm just going to, like, give you the hint, kind of, come here.
No, and I think it was definitely a backup.
By the whole thing.
I think it was definitely like a backup situation, like, here, follow me, and when I give the if something goes wrong, wait till I give you the signal before you intervene.
Yeah, because she said now, so, like,
Yeah, she was fully
that
aware
is your
that Sun
clue
was
that she knew Sun
her
was
lookout.
there. Yeah. So
Besides, I don't think we need any more reasons to think Sun is a stalker. I've always hated when people say that, personally. So so I hope the writers realise that to not, make that more of a thing. I hate when people call
he
Sun a stalker.
stalked
I
her
don't
all the
agree
way to
with that idea.
Menagerie, for God's sake.
I don't agree. But I don't agree that that's a bad thing. I think that
No.
I thought that was a very thoughtful thing to hear. Like, I don't think a lot of people took that very badly. I thought that oh my god, and even Blake took it really well in episode 5. She even said that how she's so happy that Sun did that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily good or a bad thing. I'm just like, I just think it's a weird invasion of her privacy, and that was some of my issues I had with him in Volume 4. It was like she kept wanting to be alone, and she wanted to be, but she also wanted his company at points. Yeah. And I just felt like he sometimes invaded on her privacy when she wanted to be alone, and sometimes then he,
Sure.
He was there when she wanted him to be, but he was also there when she didn't want him to be. So I was kind of like, about it.
Yeah, but then in Chapter 5, she does say that, even when I didn't want you there, you refused to leave me alone, which is, for Blake's character, I feel like she brings that on herself because she has a tendency to shut people out.
100% she brings it on.
Yeah. Sun's just a massive stalker, but at least he does it for the right reasons, He's a little heart's in the right place.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if I was in Blake's situation, I wouldn't think bad of Blake of Sun for doing what he's doing. But that's just me.
Yeah.
We all have our own opinions on these things, so that's fine.
Alright, so the next scene, we're back to Yang, and there is a gorgeous shot here of going through the window.
I was going to mention that earlier.
And then panning around Yang to focus on the same photograph that was in the house in Patch.
Yang just stole all Ty's photos. Yang just stole all Ty's photos.
It's exactly the same because
She's a copy of all them herself, I guess.
It may have been a copy, but it's the same photo because it has a new friends and a love heart on it, the same as the other photo did. So either it's the same photo or it's a copy. But
I don't think it's the same photo because we saw when Yang was on the ship, Ty had the photo at the same time in his house.
On the TV stand. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so it must be a copy. Yeah.
I think it was just a copy. Yeah.
Yeah. So. This scene was interesting because it didn't quite go the way I was expecting it to.
No.
I knew that Weiss was going to come in and not Ruby, but Yang didn't mention the one thing that I thought was the biggest problem, which was she lost an arm to protect Blake, which that doesn't actually seem to be the biggest issue for her. The biggest issue is that she has a complex about people leaving her, which I didn't really expect that to be the big problem where this is concerned.
But in hindsight, I feel like that's a really good thing. Like, not a good thing, but that's I didn't expect. That's the thing. Ruby and so Miles and Kerry definitely have such a tendency of not doing the thing you most expect them to do, but it's still good.
Yeah.
They always find a way to not do the obvious character, the story progression, but I feel like it's all still really well done. And another thing, this volume especially, all of the one-on-one moments have always not been with the two characters you think it's going to be with.
Yeah.
Like Ruby and Oscar's, I thought could have been Oscar and John. I feel like this one could have been Ruby and Yang, but they're not doing it. They're trying to mix it up. They're trying to be, whether or not they're trying to give shippers what they want or whatever. But it's just interesting how I feel like a lot of the one-on-ones have been combinations I don't think were necessarily the most likely of them, but still deliver enough well that I think it was a good choice.
Yeah, I think it's a testament more than anything to how the characters have grown, and how the story and the show itself has grown. So, Weiss in this scene tells Yang a story about her 10th birthday when she says her father finally admitted to her mother that the only reason he married her was for the family name. And, everybody already knew that, but it was saying it that finally nailed it.
Yeah, actually hearing that being said, it was like...
Yeah.
Because, it was one of those things where it was always implied, but it was never actually stated.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, and, Weiss has that scene with her father in Volume 4 where she says, says, I've done nothing but fight to uphold the honor of my family name, a name that you married into, and then he slaps her, which obviously there's a bit of a sore spot for their family. And so she talks about, her 10th birthday here, and her mother is obviously a huge alcoholic, which was hinted at in Volume 4, because Whitley says she's already drinking in the garden. It just kind of like spiraled downward from that point of him saying to her, I don't even love you, I married you because I wanted your name. Which is a fucking shitty thing to say to your wife, especially after you had 3 children with her. Like, dick.
But he's a massive dick.
He's a massive dick.
I mean, it was one of those things when Weiss was slapped, and Weiss is my favorite character on the show, but when Weiss was slapped, I didn't hate it as much as I think as everyone else did. I was like, Weiss, that's still a pretty fucked up thing to say. I'm not saying you deserve to get slapped. But to say that to your father, like, that reaction, like, that response didn't surprise me. I was like, fuck, Weiss, that's still a pretty out there thing just to say. And with this, it's like, okay, now I'm definitely more, like, not that I wasn't on Jock's side, but it was like, okay, I can definitely, that's fucked up.
That scene, I just hate Jacques so much. I feel like Weiss's words towards him were justified because it's true.
Yes, but I feel like at that time that was still a pretty severe thing just for Weiss to just say, and yeah. Okay,
obviously, like she doesn't have a whole lot of respect for her father because he doesn't really deserve her respect.
No,
he's a shitty person, but like,
but still, without him, she wouldn't exist. Just remember that.
It's true.
Remember, if you hate your parents, just remember that you wouldn't be alive without them. So you get to be kind of nice.
Yeah, thanks, Mum and Dad.
No matter how much they are.
But still,
if they didn't do their business, then you wouldn't even be alive.
All right, let's not even. Yeah. Before I start visualizing things, let's just get off of that topic altogether.
It'd be hard to visualize because you haven't seen what Willow looks like yet. Oh, I say Willow. That's
I wasn't talking about them. Never mind. So let's just change the topic.
Okay.
Definitely when Jacques slapped Weiss, I was like, I want you to die. It just made me so
I do
angry.
get that.
Back to the scene at hand. Weiss says something really interesting to Yang here. She says, I don't know loneliness like you do. I have my own version. And I bet Blake has her own version too. And I was like, that's really profound and very true. Like, everybody has their own version of loneliness. Nobody's version is the same. And we can empathize with each other on a certain level, but everybody's experience is different, is what Weiss was trying to get at here. And obviously she has spent all this time thinking about, okay, Blake left us, but why would she do that? Whereas Yang's just been blinded totally by her anger. And she enlightens Yang in this scene, which is nice because sometimes Yang needs her head pulled out of her ass by somebody else. And it was nice that it was Weiss. We don't we have not really seen a lot of interaction between these two apart from the fight in Volume 3 with half of Team Funky. That's really the only interaction they've had. And it's nice to get a lot of interaction between these two characters, which previously haven't really had much established for them.
I mean, there have been a few things here and there, but the funky fight was definitely the biggest one since the hug. I think before the hug, that was the biggest one. But there were a few others here and there.
Been a lot more interaction between characters like Yang and Blake and Ruby and Weiss, and even Weiss and Blake than there has between Weiss and Yang.
Well, obviously the least common one is Blake and Ruby.
Yeah.
That's been the most uncommon connection. I'm sure we'll get a bit of that hopefully next volume.
Yeah, Blake and Ruby have had next to no interaction. So, but aside from them, Yang and Weiss have probably had the least. So, this scene is a huge testament to how much Weiss has grown as a character, and we've been saying this a lot this volume, but like, if we all look back to Volume 1, Episode 2, when we first met Weiss in the show proper, she was a huge bitch. She was a huge, spoiled,
she was hard to deal with,
stuck-up bitch to everybody, and even in like the course of Volume 1, she started to improve. But since then, she has just grown so much. She's totally come out of her shell with these people, and she just has done so much growing. It's incredible. She is nothing like what she used to be like when we first met her. And it's beautiful to see her open up to Yang in the scene, and to hear her talk about her past, and to really like not only enlighten Yang, but give her some perspective. And Weiss feels very wise in this scene. Her words feel very wise and very humble as well. You know, she says to Yang, like, when Blake comes back, I'll be here for her, and in the meantime, I'm here for you, even though we're not as close. And that whole, like, Weiss has just been, she's my favorite character, but this volume, she's just...
Hey, she was my favorite character back in Volume 1 when she was a bitch, so I always trusted.
She's been my favorite character since the White trailer, so, like...
Yeah, I've always been a person of, like, you know, there's no character in the show I've ever hated. Even Adam and Raven I don't hate. I can't bring myself to hate them. It's bad shit if they've done, but especially people like Weiss and Winter, because, like, that's just who they are. You can't... Yes, they're bitches, but, I don't know, I always was more interested than annoyed by them.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah.
The thing that's interesting is...
Yeah, Weiss is a bitch, but I'm, like, interested... Okay, but now I'm more interested... Why? More or less than, like, oh, you're a bitch. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like, I see some good intentions behind... Especially Winter. I can see some good intentions behind your bitchiness.
Winter's got a tough love attitude, which... It's been like that right out of the gate. She loves her sister, but at the same time, life isn't fair. And
they're just not great at first impressions. That's all.
No, they're terrible at first
impressions. Doesn't make them bad people. They're just not great at first impressions.
The Shnees are not good at first impressions. Yeah. So, but
hey,
like,
I thought Whitley was quite nice. He was the only one who had a good introduction.
But he's awful. So like he had a bad first introduction because it's not accurate who he is.
Whitley has been wrongly. I think Whitley has been wrongly has been wrongly viewed by this fandom. I think Whitley is not nearly as bad as Jacques has been.
Oh, not
no, but he's obviously.
I just don't think Whitley is as bad as everyone makes him out to be. That's all I'm saying.
I think Whitley is definitely on his way to becoming another Jacques, and that's the problem. His father obviously has a lot of influence over him, and he is not interested in being a good person, which that much is obvious.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
How old is Whitley anyway? Like 14, probably? I don't know, but...
Yeah, about there.
It becomes pretty obvious by about that age what kind of person someone's going to turn out to be, and Whitley's going to be another Jacques. So...
I'm still hopeful for Whitley. I still think he can...
no.
I think there's a small chance that Weiss could do something, but there is still a thing where I also feel like, you know... Whitley, I don't know if Whitley will ever be a great person, but I think he'll eventually make some good choices.
But even so, Winter's not exactly a great person, to be fair.
Oh no, but she's miles better than Whitley.
Yeah.
I just don't think we've seen enough of Whitley. I just think for what we have seen of him, it has been the bad stuff.
I've seen it.
I feel like that first conversation. I feel like that first conversation was still pretty nice. I don't think that was bad. Yeah. The stuff after Weiss had the title taken off her, that stuff wasn't great. But I still think that first one was still pretty. I thought that was still sincere of him. Just in his, he has a weird quirkiness to him that I think he comes off pretty badly. But again, that's my opinion.
I feel like he's very manipulative.
Yeah.
And
that's fine. That's fine. If that's how you see it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because that was the impression I definitely got when I first saw that scene. And back then, a lot of people also still were interested by his character. But I immediately was like, no, this guy, his word choice, he's manipulative, he's he wants something, and
Yeah,
I was immediately like,
you said it
"Ooh."
right from the beginning. You were like, I don't trust Whitley, even when I was like, he seems okay. But you were like, nah, he's shitty, he's manipulative, I don't like him. And, yeah, you turned out to be more or less right, but,
I guess.
Oh, I just got a tweet that the Rewind is going to start soon. No, I forgot that it airs on the same day that we do. Yeah, so, anyway, we keep getting off topic, but, yeah, so, but Yang then says something interesting about Blake in this scene, and she says, what if I needed her here for me? And it's like, I hadn't really thought about it that way, in that Yang isn't upset that she lost her arm to protect Blake. She isn't even that upset about the fact that Blake took off. She's more upset about the fact that Blake wasn't here for her when she really needed her to be, even though Yang has been there for Blake when Blake needed her. That's what hurts her the most.
You gotta remember too, as much as these people are a team, it is still Ruby Weiss partner, Blake and Yang partner.
Yes.
You know, that's how they originally found each other, kind of thing, as their teams, and I feel like that those connections will probably always be the strongest. And it is really interesting to hear, you know, Yang actually admit that she needs Blake just as much as she feels that Blake needs the team.
Well, the one thing I thought was really interesting about it is, as we learned through the scene, and as we just know about Yang in general, is that Yang has always had to take care of people. That she's always been like caregiver, everything.
She's never had anyone there for her. Almost.
And in this scene, for her to admit, I needed Blake, is, you know, so strong, because she's always had to rely on herself. And for her to admit, I needed somebody else, is very good for her, I think.
Yeah. And,
and like how Weiss mentions too, like, you know, and you said this already, but like how Weiss mentioned, you know, I know we're not as close, but I'll always be here for you. You know, it's just more of the stuff that, you know, Yang and Blake really did care about each other. Or at least Yang really did care about Blake.
Yeah. They all care about each other in different ways. And there's varying levels of closeness, but they are a team, they are a cohesive unit, and they're all very rattled by being separated, and now 3 of them are together, but 1 of them is still missing. And I can't help but thinking back to last volume when Sun said to Blake, you think you're being selfless, but you're not. And, like, this is exactly what Sun meant by that. Like, Blake left to protect, like, to stop this from happening to her friends, but in doing so, it was a selfish thing to do, because Yang needed her friend there to support her, and she wasn't there. And I don't think Blake even really realizes that. She's
but it was just
thinking
the thing
about,
that,
like, I'm leaving them because, you know, if I stick around, they're just going to get hurt again.
But it was just one of those things that Weiss mentioned, you know, the universe proved her right. Everything Blake feared would happen, it did.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just, it sucks. It sucks for her, because, again, Blake, you know, as much, and this goes into the next scene as well, I guess, how it's like, you know, Blake always from the very beginning, from the Black Trail, always been like the most, apart from maybe Weiss, I guess, always had, like, you know, the saddest past. She had, you know, she had so much issues to deal with, all that kind of stuff, and it's like, all the fears, and it's like, it's the one character where everything she always thought bad was proven right.
Yeah.
And
do you think do you guys think that Blake meeting Crow would actually be really healing for her? Because of, like, Crow also has similar hang-ups, kind of, in that misfortune follows him.
Yeah.
Sort of. And Blake, I feel like Blake feels the same way.
I feel like if she met Crow and, like, realized the depth of, like, he walks around as a beacon of bad luck and people he loved get hurt because of it, she'd be like, okay, maybe my life isn't so bad.
I feel like Blake couldn't help though but start chasing, but just stalking Crow until he turns into a crow and then just hunts him down. You know, being cat and all.
Yeah.
Ruby Chibi Skit, ride it.
But yeah, Weiss basically admitted in this scene what we've been saying all along throughout the course of this volume and the last. And And what I liked about the scene is that there was a score of Path to Isolation playing, which is the first time we've heard it in score form in the show proper. So that was nice as well. And yeah, the whole scene was really good for both characters, but especially for Yang. And, you know, Ruby pops her head in and says, "Is everything okay?" And Yang says, "Yeah, actually it is." And I was, like, watching that scene in my head, I was kind of like, Weiss, you did that. Good on you.
Yeah.
Weiss best girl.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, if this scene occurred in Volume 1, it wouldn't have occurred. Like, that's not something Weiss would have done back then. But now she's just grown.
Because you also think back to the one scene they had in Volume 1, and it was just Weiss saying, you know, the innocent never run. You know, she was talking about Blake, you know, the innocent never run, all that kind of stuff. She doesn't, you know, I do care about Blake, but, you know, there's a reason why she left, and that also related to Raven. At that time, you know, Yang thought of Raven, I imagine, when Weiss said the innocent never run, that kind of things. So, yeah, it's a great parallel between, you know, where they've come from Volume 1 to this point now. And
there's a conversation that Weiss, Blake, and Yang had in Volume 2 as well, when they're in Mountain Glen. When Yang says to her, "You're not one to back down from a challenge," and Blake says, "Actually, I am. Every time things have gone south for me, I've run away." So it wasn't really that surprising that she took off when everything went to shit. And it's like, I sympathise with both ends. I sympathise with Yang and I sympathise with Blake because I understand both of their reasons. But
it's one of those things where neither of them are in the wrong. Both of them are completely justified by what they're doing.
Yes.
It's just that it's just, especially from Yang's point of view, it's like, but it doesn't need to be this way. Yes, what we've done is what we've done, and that's fine. But we could be together and just, you know, and just be better off, you know, because we can help each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just they have like complementary issues where Yang has her fear of abandonment and Blake has her fear of hurting those around her.
Yeah.
And they just come together for this perfect storm of just bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
This might be a bit of a tangent, but I've just been thinking about this. How did you two feel when we found out Blake had a rich, well-off family?
Surprised.
I would have thought she would have been either an orphan or, you know, or just she was come from a less fortunate family. I thought even maybe it would be cool if when she was in the White Fang, her parents were nothing, but then when she finally came back, they had gotten to that position. So, like, while Blake was in the White Fang for 5 years and she was at Beacon, then when she finally came back, during that time, that's when her parents became, you know, well off. I thought that would have been cool. It was really interesting, the fact that she had a well-off family. But I guess that also proves her loyalty to the White Fang, the fact that she abandoned that for Ilya and Adam.
I feel like it surprised us because of the way Blake talked about her past, like, I had a shitty past, my mentor was a psycho, meh. But and then you find out that her father's chieftain and they have this big house and all these nice things and she has loving parents. And I'm like, bitch! Your life was not so bad. Like, what are you complaining about?
I think that's the point. She brought that on herself because of her choices.
Yeah.
She had a bad childhood but she didn't have to.
No.
Weiss didn't have a choice in the matter. Blake did, and she chose wrong. And again, it's the whole point of the universe just keeps fucking with her.
Yeah.
Because she has so many good options, but no matter what she chooses,
the wrong thing to do.
Not even that she chooses, it's just whatever choice she makes always ends up being the wrong one. Not that she always chooses, I wouldn't say that she always chooses the wrong choice.
I feel like she's very self-destructive, is an accurate way of putting it. And especially, like, it was very self-destructive.
But I feel like Yang could also have that same, too, in a sense.
It was self-destructive of her to run off at the end of Volume 3 as well. Like, she justified her reason for doing that. She felt like it was the right thing to do. But actually it wasn't. It was the wrong thing to do. Because if she hadn't have done that, she wouldn't have endangered her family. And
but that's also not on her. That's also not on her, though.
No, not necessarily. It could have happened anyway. But you know, she wouldn't have put them in the line of fire by associating herself with them. She wouldn't have separated herself from her team, who currently really need her. I
mean, that might prevent the point. Maybe she cares about her team more than her family. You know, maybe
I
she's
doubt
willing.
it.
I don't know if this is true. I do doubt, but like, what if the idea was the fact that, you know, she would rather protect her team than her family? Like, I don't know, maybe because again, she already left her family once for her team, for Ophelia and Adam, in a sense.
I
feel
like she cares for her family and her team in different ways.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
her parents are her parents, like they're her family.
Yeah.
Everybody loves their parents. You're obligated to, unless you're wise.
I think she just feels a sense of.
I'm personally in a more of a wise situation, but that's just me.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like that the Blake. She ran to her family almost because she feels like she will be safe with them because they're so well off and, you know, chieftain, and like I think she feels like she will be safer with them, and that's why she went to them, and also she wants to, you know, get away from kind of, I don't know. Menagerie doesn't seem to have a big white fang kind of.
No, it doesn't, and I think that's what I was just gonna say. The Menagerie will be the safest place from the White Fang because Menagerie is one place that doesn't need the White Fang.
Yeah.
It doesn't need this, and that's why, like, I remember when everyone watched episode 5 and was like, "Why was Sun so surprised that the White Fang are in Menagerie? Why wouldn't they?" But it's like, no, why would they? They wouldn't. They wouldn't need to be in Menagerie. That makes perfect sense for being surprised.
There's no humans on Menagerie, so like, of course, it makes sense that there's not a huge White Fang influence because they don't need their influence in Menagerie. Can't say Menagerie. But
it's not spelled Menagerie.
I still think it makes sense for them to be there though because it is the biggest concentration of
at least to a small degree, and that's
fondness, recruiting.
Yeah, which is good again. Like, and that's why the Albanes were the representatives of the White Fang and Menagerie.
Fucking Albanes.
And they're also different from the White Fang that we know. But we'll get to the Albanes in a bit. Yeah, I guess.
So speaking of the Albanes, we'll move on to the next scene. You know, we see, like, Blake and Ilya have a short, you know, back and forth. And I'm like, Blake, you're not seriously thinking that Ilya is actually gonna, like, change her mind here. Like, Ilya is very obviously, like, standoffish in this scene, I thought.
Sure. But also remember, Blake even mentioned, you know, in episode 5 that she wants to help Ilya the same way Sun did. So she wants to trust Ilya, even if she knows it's not smart to. She wants to just, hey Ilya, I do trust you. I know I shouldn't, but that's not the point. You're my friend. I will trust you regardless. And that's just to kind of give off that influence to Ilya.
But at least she had the sense to not trust her enough to bring Sun. It's like,
she also drew her weapon too, which I think does show that, you know, she was still like, are we good? Kind of like.
But also, I think too,
cool?
Ilya was smart. She didn't bring her weapon. She deliberately let Yuma keep her weapon so she wouldn't look like she was armed at all. And she even walked in with her hands up. You know, Ilya played the part quite well and didn't want to be as, you know, nonchalant, I guess, as she could be.
I saw a lot of people on Tumblr especially talking about this next bit where Yuma stomps on Blake's back, and Blake kind of gets the wind knocked out of her, and it looks like it really hurts. A lot of people were saying, but she's got aura, blah, blah, blah. Aura
she didn't have it activated. It was a attack.
Aura has to be activated,
I'm so annoyed.
People.
I'm so annoyed people still can't get this through their head.
They can't wrap their head around
sneak attacking is still a legitimate thing you can do.
They have to physically activate their aura, and it's
I mean, sure. When I saw this scene, I thought the same thing, but then I was like, well, no, because she was a sneak attack. That's why. She didn't have it activated.
It's more like a reflex for them at this point. But if they get no warning, if they get jumped, they're not going to have
basically
time for that
unless
reflex
it is a fight. It's safe to assume at this point if it's not a fight, then there's the aura isn't a thing unless they're actually in a fight.
So
at this point, just assume that because it makes it so much easier.
She caught the full brunt of that, and it hurt and it knocked the wind out of her, which is why she took so long to get back up.
Yeah. And I didn't even think about that. Yeah, but it knocked the wind out. I didn't even think about that. That's what it was. It knocked the wind out of her. That's why she was so.
Yeah, she literally gasps for breath, like I can't breathe.
I didn't catch that. I just thought this is interesting acting from Aaron, but sure, I'll go along with it. But then she was winded. That makes perfect sense now. So thank you for mentioning that.
I still think that even if she did manage to activate.
I saw the comment. Ilya was the shadow people the whole time. I just saw that comment. I thought that was great.
It's just a crowd of chameleon faunas.
Sorry, Cory, go ahead.
But even if she did have her aura activated, like it's still kind of it's still contained around her body, and he still crushed her into the ground. Like it would still like have some kind of crushing force where I could still see even if she managed to activate her aura, it would still knock the wind out of her.
Yeah, exactly.
Aura only protects from fatal injuries, and I've always thought that you still feel blunt force impacts. Like you still feel a punch, you still get a hammer. It's just that you won't get cut. Like that's what it does. Like Tyrion was still punched. He had his aura, but he still felt the impact of the punch. It just didn't break his nose because of his aura, but he still felt the impact of the punch.
And another example, like on the subject of Tyrion, when he slashed Ruby's aura, she sort of recoiled and had like a pained look on her face, even though she wasn't physically harmed.
You just don't get the physical result of it. You still feel the impact of all these hits.
Think of
you can still get punched. You can still get knocked out. You can still get. You just can't get stabbed. You can't get fatally wounded. You can't
put it that
way. Get a concussion. You can get knocked out. You can get knocked over. You can get. You can't be crushed. You can't be stabbed. You can't be. That's all it does. It just protects you from fatal injuries. You still feel everything else.
From injuries in general, bruises, cuts. Stabbings, whatever, being shot. But like, what was I gonna say? Aura is like for huntsmen and huntresses who are trained to use their aura. It's like a second skin, and having it damaged does physically cause pain, but it doesn't. It blocks physical damage to their actual body. It's it's like a protective barrier. Around their skin.
When Blake was fighting the sea dragon, when she landed, she hurt her shoulder.
Yeah.
Because the impact of her landing hurt her shoulder, kind of thing. That's another example.
Yeah, and again, she may not have had time to like activate her aura for that or whatever. There's multiple factors that like. A person has to physically engage their aura, and even if it's more of a reflex for people who are trained to use it, if they don't have time for that reflex to kick in, then they're just going to take the full brunt of that blow, which is what happened to Blake here.
Anyway, let's not. We'll just be spend an hour talking about the mechanics of
aura. We still don't even fully understand it. But
move on to one of my more favorite newer characters. Did a drawing of her, by the way. So you gotta check that out. Sister Tifa, the spider faunus.
Trifa, yeah.
Trifa. Sorry, I should know. Very interesting. I've seen a few. Even though like they didn't mean it seriously. There's a few similarities between like her and Salem. Like maybe like I remember someone mentioning it's like maybe Salem could be a spider faunus. Her hair and the veins kind of matches. I don't think she is, but like that's a cool little idea though. I thought.
Yeah, I
don't believe it. But that's still cool. That's a cool idea in practice, I think.
I feel like Salem's definitely not a faunus. She's a different entity altogether. Like, let's not even put her in the category of human faunus. Like, she's something else entirely.
There was some cool similarities between the two. I felt like they don't mean anything, but that was a cool little. There's some cool little nods there.
This whole like menagerie arc has been interesting to see the extensiveness of the faunus as a race, and like seeing Sister Trifa, who is a spider faunus. It's like, oh cool, there's arachnid faunus as well, and like that makes you think: are there cephalopod faunus? Are there amphibious faunus? We've seen marine faunus and mammal faunus, and reptilian faunus and.
I want to say a crustacean faunus.
Yeah, it's like how far does this go? Like, okay, they're throwing arachnids in as well, so cephalopods, amphibians, Are there frog faunus?
Yeah, I think it's... Ooh, that'd be cool.
That would be weird.
I think that, and again, they've never ever set any limitation on it.
No.
And that, Ruby's pretty well known for, it doesn't write itself into a corner. It always leaves stuff open so it doesn't fuck itself.
Well...
It tries to, at least. Aura has been a bit questionable from time to time in semblances, but apart from that, it's pretty much...
I feel like, though, the thing with Aura is that the way it works has actually evolved over time, and so it has contradicted itself, but that's because they've evolved the way it actually works.
But not to a level of retconning, I don't think.
No.
I don't think it's ever retconned itself. I don't think anything in Ruby has ever retconned itself, which I'm glad. That's the thing, the writers have always made it clear that, this story, with Monty and all that kind of stuff, there's a beginning, middle, end. We know everything. We're just filling in the details as we go along.
Yeah, exactly.
But we know, you know, like, I remember reading up that Albanes were meant to be in Volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
They liked Roman enough to be like, okay, let's keep Roman in instead. But Roman was meant to be the Albane twins initially. And I was like, that's so cool to know that, because that's such a cool little thing to know that they've been in the works for that long.
Yeah.
That's such a satisfying thing.
And Ilya's
for
been
me
a
personally.
character for a long time as well, that they've been meaning to
Yeah.
include a lot sooner, but...
Which is, the only thing I would say about that, I wish then one of Blake's speeches about Adam could have been about Ilya instead. But apart from that, then yeah, that's still awesome that she has been a character in the
at the
works
same
that long.
time though, like...
One of those things could have been better.
I understand why a lot of things get pushed back. It's because they just don't have the screen time. And like...
Yeah, like... A lot of the issues people have with RWBY, it's just a matter of, you know, yes, this is a YouTube channel, yes, they but still, it is a company, they have restrictions, you gotta realize that. They made the point back during RTX, how it's like, you know, they wanted to have 13 seasons for Camp Camp, they wanted to have 30 episodes for Camp Camp this season, but they're like, no, we're not allowed to it, because production-wise, we're not allowed to do it. It is a company,
exactly.
It has rules,
Yeah.
it acts like a real show, it has limits. Yes, it's a creative YouTube project, but it is an actual company doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's
And
not as free as you think it is.
they only have so much time to make the show every season. And
The
it's
fact
like...
that they have only had one break, or are going to have one break, is mind-blowing to me so far.
It's almost 14 straight weeks of RWBY. And so
That is
far,
insane.
the shortest episode has been 11 minutes of screen time.
And it was a fantastically fun episode.
It was a
that
good
just, like,
episode, yeah, exactly.
It was just breaking the fourth wall, making fun of itself. It was just reflection. It was a fun episode, and we got probably the best return ever in Mercury and Emerald showing back up.
Finally.
You know, and we got a name for the and we got the name reveal for the Shady guy, Shady Man.
Shady Man,
Yeah,
oh my
that's
god.
so awesome. So awesome. I love.
Yeah.
I don't know why they did. I was so confused at the beginning of the season when I was like, no, this guy's clearly going to be important. Why are you just calling him Shady Man? And then, so when in that episode they finally gave him the name Shady Man, I was like...
I love it.
It just makes me shake my head. But, yeah,
I'm fine.
they've been spoiled with screen time for this volume, but there is a lot to get through at the same time. They're having to consolidate a lot of things.
Yeah, and Osman made the point too, you know, this could be the last time that we have these kind of moments, you know? Going forward in the story, it could be, I'm not saying it's non-stop volume 3 for the rest of the series, but it could be almost that level of, you know, shit might be going down from now on. So, although some people will say volume 4 was a filler, I think that's completely wrong. I feel like that's really disrespectful to say it's filler, in my opinion, that's all.
Yeah, definitely not filler. Plenty happened
it was
in volume
definitely
4.
It was a volume 1-esque step, like, it was a step back, a breather, like volume 1 almost. That's what it was meant to be. It was like, this is all crazy, now let's calm down and get excited for the next point. Let's not just keep going non-stop. But that might be what they're doing going forward, perhaps. But we'll see.
Yeah, and it was the
I
start
just
of
think
the
the
new
biggest
arc
thing
as
people-
well, so...
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why it had to be volume 1-esque. It had to be that kind of more subtle, kind of throwback kind of thing.
I know. It just, they needed to pace it better. I think that was the only thing the volume 4 had.
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, some of this...
terribly paced. I don't think it was filler.
No, but they said it themselves. This was very volume 4 was very experimental.
Yeah.
You know, it was a risk.
They changed it all
to write.
up in
And it was the
volume 4,
hardest...
yeah.
Yeah, and it was the hardest volume for them to write ever. They mentioned at RTX. So, yeah, it wasn't easy for them, and they agree it could have been better. But again, volume 1 could have been better, and they always admit that as well. So...
Sam,
these guys
I
are
agree.
perfect.
Yeah, he says volume 4 was weird watching week by week, but when you watch it all together, it's a lot. It's a better
100%.
experience. Yeah, definitely.
100%.
I agree with that. Volume
Which,
4
to be
is...
fair, I feel like...
It needs to
Go
be
ahead, go for
watched in entirety and treated as more like a film than an episode by episode series.
Yeah.
Whereas this volume is definitely holding its own episode by episode, I feel like, more so than volume 4 did. And also the episodes are longer, there's more in them, you know, they're starting to get to the the crux of the issue for this arc. Whereas Volume 4 was the Volume 1 of the Haven arc. So, you know, there were things to set up. There was fallout from Volume 3. There were issues to deal with.
I mean,
the pacing was weird, definitely, in Volume 4. Yeah. Definitely better in Volume 5. Immensely improved.
Yeah. The funny thing is, we got one of the things that everyone asking for. We got Renora backstory. So everyone just be happy. We got that.
Exactly.
Everyone was asking for that in Volume 3. It's like, well, there you go. You got it.
There was
just be happy you got that.
plenty of significant content in Volume 4.
But I remember when I watched episode 5, especially doing the Ruby and Oscar thing. That's all I wanted out of Volume 4. But I'm not mad that I didn't get it in Volume 4. I'm happy we got it now. That's fine.
Oh, Chapter 5 of this volume. Sorry, I thought you meant Chapter 5 of Volume 4.
No, yeah. Yeah, okay, I'll admit with Chapter 5 last time, it was a bit weird to have that whole episode of Menagerie, but I don't think that was that bad.
It was, my biggest issue with it was, not only was it all Menagerie, when all the other episodes had at least 2 different places, it was 9 minutes long. And it was just Blake. And Blake was such a screen whore last volume. She stole so much screen time from, like, we had such a lack of Yang and a lack of Weiss. And, like, I just was over Blake at that point. I was like, okay, I don't need an entire 9-minute episode of just Blake. Like, she needs to go away.
Okay. How about we get back to Volume 5 then, before we start saying...
And then Chapter 8 was the only other chapter I had issues with.
Yeah, I hated Chapter 8.
What was Chapter 8 again? I forgot.
It was the campfire.
Sitting around the campfire talking about the gods.
Oh, I like that one. But
the first time you watch
I get...
The first time you watch it, it's like, okay, yeah, cool, this is nice and informative, but after that, it's like, oh, this is boring me to tears. You can't watch it a second time. It's like, ugh. When is this episode going to be over?
I mean, I will say it's weird that we got like 7 World of Remnants last volume, and then we got that episode as well.
Yeah.
That I think was so interesting, and yeah, I feel like after getting 7 World of Remnants, then we got a whole episode that was a World of Remnant. It was just like, yeah, it was a bit of a strange choice, but again, like it was really experimental with Volume 4.
It was.
But let's be happy that we're now Volume 5, and Volume 5 is awesome now. So,
all right, back to the scene at hand. We finally got to find out a bit more about Ilya. Yeah, and honestly, she's just coming off to me as another Adam, basically. Like, she's totally hell-bent on not only... Like, she doesn't just want for the Faunus and the humans to be equal, she wants the humans to pay. And that's the same kind of mindset that Adam has.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's definitely following in his footsteps in that sense.
Well, Blake said it herself, that mindset is very contagious.
Yeah, it's very contagious, yeah. And, it's... Yeah, I was just a little bit disappointed that Ilya turned out to be so... I don't want to say one-dimensional, because she's not one-dimensional, but...
no, I wouldn't say that.
And this scene did show us some more of her motivations beyond just, you know, my parents were killed in a dust mine, therefore all my actions are justified. You know, and her other motivation is actually jealousy, which is a dangerous motivator.
Talk about something contagious. Like, that's...
Yeah. My God.
She has all of the ingredients for a freaking explosive right now. Like, exactly. She has so much. That's why I think all of her actions right now, I can 100% like everything makes sense, because again, look at all of the shit we know about her now. It's like, fuck, I'm not surprised you're acting the way you are. Yeah, it sucks because we all love you and we all think you can be such a great character, and you still are. Like, doesn't make you just because you're mean or bad doesn't make you a bad character. No. But it's just one of those things where it's like, we love you, Ilya. We want to love you. Don't be like this.
We want to like you. Do not do this to us.
But also, she's still not at the point of... she's still redeemable at this point. She still hasn't gotten that far yet.
Beck and I were talking about this before. I don't actually know if she can be redeemed at this point. Or, I think that they will still try and redeem her, but I don't know if that's necessarily, like, what we want at this point. Because she's so... She sounded so much like Adam in that scene.
She did, yeah.
It's kind of a thing where it's like...
That's true.
I know, like, Adam is such a psycho that I don't want another character who's similar to Adam to be redeemable, kind of. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, you know, I have to get that. And it's obviously like, you know, no matter what, she probably won't end up being the love interest. She probably won't end up being what she wants, being the love interest of Blake, no matter what happens in the story. I don't think she would ever end up with Blake. And if she's going to be a bad guy, if she ends up being like... And this is the thing I always think of, you know, who is everyone's final boss? You know, who's everyone's final thing to overcome? If they want to make Ilya's sons, like, you know, her be-all end-all son's like, you know, final fight, whereas like Blake and Yangs is Adam. If they want to like make Ilya the penultimate bad guy for Sun, you know, I'll be happy with that. If that's the route they want to go.
Yeah, and
So I still want to see that fight. What?
I feel like something else has to happen with Ilya's character before she becomes redeemable or irredeemable. It could go either way.
At this point she's in a grey area right now.
She's a huge grey area right now, but she's leaning more towards irredeemable just because of how much she reminds me of Adam.
But fuck it. But fuck if it's good writing and it's very entertaining to watch.
Yes.
As sad as it could be. It's fucking great stuff.
I just don't think that... Part of the thing that makes her also more irredeemable for me is just because, like, she's hurting the person that she loves, and that's an Adam. Yeah, Adam does that as well. It's not a good. That's not a good guy thing. Yeah, no. Like she's willing to send Blake back to Adam. She's willing to kill her parents, and like,
and not that this is a good thing, but unlike Adam, Ilya, I don't think it would be willing at all to actually harm Blake herself. Not that harming her family makes justifying that action. Adam will kill Blake. I don't think Adam would have any qualms of doing that.
No.
Whereas I don't think Ilya would ever physically want to herself harm Blake. You know.
Yeah.
She will kill her family because she thinks that's good for the cause. But whereas Adam doesn't give a fuck about the cause. He just wants to torture Blake.
He's just got beef with Blake. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Whereas Ilya actually does, I think, probably more so than Adam, believe in the cause of the White Fang.
Yeah, Blake has broken his balls and he's pissed off. Yeah, so, but yeah, no, definitely Ilya's words in the scene reminded me of Adam, because, you know, Adam, like, at the end of Volume 3, he was calling Blake my love, and, like, gives us this impression that, like, oh, you're somebody I actually loved, and yet he's like, oh, but I'm gonna destroy your life and kill all your friends. I'm like,
yeah,
dude.
he's a vengeful motherfucker. That like it's simple, like, you know,
he's just psycho is the problem.
Yes,
totally.
But at the same time, when I first saw that in Volume 3, I loved it just because of how fucked it was. Like,
it was fun.
I didn't enjoy it because like that was just as a story, as a character. That was like, I enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite scenes in the show, as fucked up as it is. Just because I feel like that's just so... It's weird to like It's weird to say I like a bad guy in a story, because that's just like against the point of a bad guy.
It's not weird because if you like the bad guy, that just tells you that they're written really well. But
and I think Adam is, despite him being, I guess, for now a bit one-dimensional, till we find out a bit more about him.
Yeah,
I still think it's really well written for the one-dimensional character he is for now.
I feel like with the story with Adam, like, because he is so one-dimensional, everybody loves to have a character to hate. I've said this before.
Yes, I love hate.
I've said this before. Adam is like the Ramsay Bolton of RWBY. Everybody fucking hates him, and he's a total psycho. But you love to hate him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Salem is the big bad of the show," and I agree. But it's like, I've always been of the mindset of, Ozpin, I think, will potentially be just as bad as Salem. Like, I think the two will think each other as the true evil in the world. Whereas, like, it's just Salem versus Ozpin constantly, and neither are better than the other. But, in my opinion, this is. But Adam is the actual evil of the world.
Yeah, he's just evil, plain and
Salem
simple.
is just... Yeah. Salem just has her own beef with Ozpin and whatever that ends up being. Adam is actual pure fucking evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's evil, and he's crazy, and he's scary. I think, as well. And, like, we've seen what he's capable of, and it terrifies us. And it terrifies Blake as well, as you can see with the fear on her face when Ilya's like, you're being sent to Adam. She's like, say what?
I mean,
she's like, I'd rather you stab me right now.
I would literally rather you cut off my head right this instant.
Yeah. It's one of those things I question too, like, what does she fear more? Her going to Adam again, or her family being killed? Because, like, she almost had the exact same reactions to both of those revelations. So it's like, I wonder which one she fucking fears more.
I think she fears them both in different ways.
Yeah, because I think she looked more in disbelief when Ilya said, "We're good by dealing with your parents."
Yeah.
She looked in disbelief almost, but when she said, "You're going to Adam," she looked just terrified.
I don't think she really thought about her family coming into this. Like, she thought about this as, like, this is between me and the White Fang. But then Ilya's like, actually, we're going to kill your family. And she's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, she's...
This is also... I think this was also too... Although it was pretty obvious, and Adam even made it pretty clear, this was the first time that it was ever, like, in canon, like, made to us to think that, Blake was with Adam. Like, that was always hinted at. And that was always, like, very, very obvious. But it was always, like, my partner, my mentor. This was the first time that was, like, you were falling for Adam. You loved him,
Yeah.
It was the first actual in-canon, like, they mentioned in the audio commentary in Volume 1 that they were boyfriend-girlfriend.
Yeah.
At one point.
Blake...
But this was the first time in show that we actually kind of got, from Blake's perspective, that she did care for Adam.
Blake, says to Ilya, you don't have to do this isn't you, and Ilya's like, actually it is. You were just too busy falling for Adam to even notice that I was...
Yeah, I love that line. That's such a true thing. That's like, I love this, such like a blinding thing. So that's such a great... And obviously, look what Ilya's doing. It is a very blinding thing, obviously.
Yeah.
What Ilya's willing to do. It's just so good. I loved it. I hated it because it made me so sad, but I loved it because it was just so well done.
Yeah, and Ilya says to Blake, I was always jealous of the way you looked at him. I wanted you to look at me that way. And it's like, Blake, probably didn't even entertain the thought that Ilya was interested in her like that because she was too busy.
Look in her face. She was, you saw the look of, like, almost shock and surprise on her face when she said that. It was she was just like, oh my, like, it was a realization moment for her.
Yeah, Blake, I feel like, loved the idea of Adam than the person himself, because he was he was passion, he was justice, he was all those things, like she said. It was more of the embodiment of Adam that she loved, not necessarily the person. But and again, I still feel like Adam was a good person at one point, or at least he may have
not
been.
a good person, but he at least was of he was just of the side of passion and justice, and maybe to a blind 14-year-old girl to fucking, was in love, whatever, she didn't really see the monster he really was. That's the thing too. She was bloody, like, I think she would have been 12 when she would have left her family for the White Fang permanently. That's insane. Especially when
Did they give us the timeline for how long?
They've never really said.
She said that. Well, 5 years ago, the leader stepped down. I assume that's when her family left. And she was 17 when she said that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, yeah,
5 years ago, our leader stepped down and new one took his place, yeah.
But I assume that's when she made the decision
that would be
been
around that time, yeah.
Yeah, and, it also comes into question, like, how young Blake was when these two were in a relationship, and Adam is assumed, like...
I don't even want to think about it.
It's just so... Yeah, I know, that's my point. That's why it's so, like... Whoa, I can't believe... I know it's Rooster Teeth, but I can't believe they actually touch... Like, I don't think they ever will touch that subject. But it's such a creepy, but such a good story thing to have in the background of, this relationship that he's had when he was so old, she was so young. It's just such a gross thing to think about, but such a interesting underlining topic of the show that they're probably not going to mention.
I just ask questions like exactly how physical was their attraction towards each other, and I'm like, oh my god, it just makes my skin crawl.
Because if you go back and look at that scene in Volume 3 where Adam kicks away the sword, and just look at how she's lying down, and Adam's walking over her. It's just like,
that made me so uncomfortable.
That just looks so suggestive. It looks so like such a suggestive thing. It's like, it's so creepy.
Yeah, I was like, Blake, child predator, run away!
Yes! No, yeah. Again, I don't want to actually mention it. Like, I don't want to say it by name. But, like, that, like, child predator kind of is a great way to put it.
Got those vibes from that scene, yeah.
Yes, okay, I'm glad, okay, let's not...
Yeah. No, you're not the only one, yeah. I feel like the entire fandom was feeling that.
Cool.
Anyway... Getting back on subject, because I don't want to think about this anymore, it was nice to finally see Sun in action, even if it was extremely brief.
No gunchucks, but it was still a really nicely animated little scene that I actually really love.
I know. I brought this up in the past.
No gunchucks, but it was still really good.
I brought this up in the past. I don't think we'll ever see the gunchucks again because
probably not.
After Volume 1, the character model broke, and they've never been able to repair it. It
was, and also the animation was like, it was a pre-done animation Monty had used in a fight years ago. It was a pre-done rigging thing that all he had to do was put the models in, and it was done already. I mean, he did use the gunchucks in Volume 3, but it was like it was during the Beacon battle for Beacon. It was like in the background. It was really you couldn't really see him.
But he was only his staff though.
No.
He did have his gunchucks out. Yeah.
In the Battle of Beacon, episode 11, episode 10, in the when it's a big panning shot of everyone fighting, and in the background you see Sun and Neptune.
Yeah.
And
you're right. He does do
that. You see him actually does using the gunchucks.
Yeah.
But you're right. But it's just kind of a blur. So there's not
really one of those things where it's just really hard to animate. But also, they showed it on Extra Life that there's a DB like a mini Death Battle X coming out soon that has Sun in it, and he was using the gunchucks in that fight. And obviously that wasn't the choreographers for Ruby, but it was like Screw Attack who work with Ruby, so it's not impossible for them to do. It's just probably something really difficult. The gunchucks are probably extremely hard to animate. Yeah.
And like the Volume 1
I love staffs, so I have no problem with staffs. I love bow staffs, so I'm fine with it.
The Volume 1 Roman Torchwick one, that gunchuck fight bit was something that Monty had mocapped, himself.
Yeah, but that was something years ago too, for like an old Haloid or
it was a very old motion capture. Yeah,
it was a pre-used rigging already.
Yeah,
that they just put the models on.
Yeah, and that was Monty himself actually doing that motion capture because he was a fucking badass. But so I'm not gonna say we're never gonna see the gunchucks again, but like it's an extremely...
They're probably saving it because it's so hard to do. They're probably saving it for a really big moment to use.
Yeah, they won't.
It's such a hard
they
to
won't
animate.
get them out unless it's really necessary.
Yeah. Like if we see Adam's son or like son Ilya in like a really heated battle, then we might finally see it again.
It is extremely difficult to animate. It's a very fiddly thing to animate. Especially if they're gonna do it like by hand, or if they were going to motion capture it, which would be the smarter thing to do. Somebody would have to be capable of using the nunchucks, and they're not an easy thing
that's
to
a
use.
good idea. Just have like a nunchucks with the dotting rigged up, and to actually have that. That actually I actually never thought that should be a good idea to do. Actually,
yeah.
Someone should tweet that at Ruby.
The nunchucks will be back at some point, but
yeah, I think so.
It wasn't unnecessary in the scene, obviously, because the tiny bit of action that we got was so tiny, but it
was really nicely done. Like it was so satisfying to watch. It's like 2 seconds, but it's just such a cool little. I don't know. I loved it. It put a smile on my face.
Hey, Larissa, I see you there.
Hey.
Yeah. So but. The tiny little bit of action that we did get was very smoothly animated, and it was pleasing to look at. And I loved the fact that Blake kind of grabbed Trifa by the shoulder and just socked her in the face. It's getting to the idea that aura, you still feel like punches and you still feel those physical impacts kind of thing. Yeah. It's just not going to kill you, but it can still knock you out. It was almost like, "Hey, bitch, off!"
Yeah,
you're right.
I love the knife. She had a really awesome little carved knife. So hopefully we'll see her again because she had like that much of a detailed weapon. I'm sure we're probably going to see her again then.
And then but I guess as they Blake says to Sun here, "My family's in danger. Call the police and let's go." I was like, Blake, what the fuck are the police gonna do? Like, seriously, just go.
You know. Well, to be fair, like there have been worse situations where they've said stuff and just stood there. At least they were doing it while they ran. You know.
It's true.
It was kind of like a little extra thing they could do while they were trying to make the effort. So it was just an added little thing they could put in.
Yeah, but unlike
which is cool. It's a logical step to take. Huh?
I was just like, police, like, seriously, really, Blake, really? You know, if all the guards in their house can't protect her parents, what the fuck are the police gonna do? Like, they're not gonna be.
Although I think those are the police,
more or less. Yeah, because she didn't know what was happening now. She just knew that it was going to happen, so she wanted to get the warning out, not realizing it already had started.
Oh, well, it's the rule of, you know, like, movies and shows and that. The police are always too fucking late. They never get there in time.
But to be fair, in this show, the huntsmen almost are the police, in a sense. So,
yeah,
it's pretty funny.
So, something else a lot of people were noticing is that all the Faunus guards in the house didn't seem to either have aura or
yeah, I knew that would probably.
Or their aura was already taken down by the time we saw them. But it seemed to me like they didn't have aura altogether. Because
to me, it seemed like that they probably were fighting for a while. That's what I choose to kind of see it as.
they could have been. Yeah, exactly. I liked Carly's little thing here where she picks up the gun. She's like, "Get out of my house!" Bang, bang.
For some reason,
That's so good.
for some reason, I always thought that was going to be a longer piece of dialogue. Like she'd start saying shit after that. Like I always like when I saw this, like, "Get out of my house, you bitch!" Like I thought she was going to keep going.
Yeah.
So when she stopped, I was like, "Aww." I just thought, I think there must be like a movie or something because I so expected that to go longer, so it must be like another movie or something.
It's Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Molly Weasley says, "Not my daughter, you bitch."
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I actually watched that movie not too long ago, so that's actually a good point. That's probably what I thought of.
Yeah.
Also, I was going to bring this up, like Larissa said in chat, that the little picture for Blake on Collie's
The
scroll
volume 4
was
poster art, yeah.
I
I thought it was such a weird choice. I thought it was such a weird choice.
I thought it was a bit weird too.
Such a weird choice. It just reminds me of the Ruby Chibi skit where it's like they have tapestries dedicated to us.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of
They
like
make
that.
tapestries, and it's like this huge Blake and Ruby. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, so Gira, we've figured that Gira was a tough bloke, but it was good to see him in action. He's just like grabbing people and smashing their heads in the floor, like you know, like being this big burly bloody, almost like a gorilla, but he's a cat, which is funny.
Well, there's actually something kind of funny. As soon as I saw the episode, the first thing I looked up was is there such thing as a were-panther? As it turns out, I don't think I'm not saying he is, but it actually is an actual thing in mythology as a were-panther, and that's exactly what he reminded me of.
He does
like,
come off as very panthery, yeah.
Well, he's
a
cat faunus.
Yeah, he's a cat faunus.
Yeah, and he's based on Bagheera, who's a panther. But it's just funny that like I'm surprised that something as weird as a were-panther is actually a thing. It's like that's exactly what he reminded me of when he did that. So that was so cool. I'm not sure if this is a thing or not, but do people still want to question what his faunus trait is, or is it just his claws? Or are people still questioning that about his feet?
It's his feet.
It's his claws.
No.
It's his claws.
Actually,
his feet are just his boots.
I've realised something.
That's what I think.
I've realised something that somebody pointed out on Tumblr. Because initially I did think he had cat feet and that the claws and teeth were just additional. But somebody pointed out to me that that his head hair and his chest hair are black, whereas the fur on the feet are white. So I don't actually think they're his feet. I think it's just embellishments on his boots.
And I mean, like teeth is one thing. You can have weird teeth, and whether you're human or not. I feel like that's just like, you know. I feel like everyone has that little vampire teeth anyway. It's just in an anime. It looks more.
I have really sharp ones. They're weird.
Like the fur. He's a hairy big man. His boots, I do think, are just his boots, and his faunus traits are, rest in peace, Tuxin, the claws.
The
fingernails.
Initially I did think it was the feet, but then I realised, if he's got black hair everywhere else, if he had feet,
it would probably make
the fur would be black, not white.
I mean, but to be fair, he could have.
Cats have
there are white.
Colors.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, like I mean, his faunus trait could have white panther fur, but then because he's a human, he's got black hair. He'd have black, men hair, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So that could be it, but I think it's pretty safe to say he just has. I think it's safe to say that. I mean, my opinion, it's his claws. Which is funny because they never actually wanted to mention. Like people had asked what his trait was, but no one actually wanted to answer that question.
I suppose they were saving it for like this big reveal kind of thing, and like initially everyone thought it was his feet, so I guess they just went, all right, if you want to think it's his feet, then go right ahead.
Go right ahead.
But like they weren't gonna Greer, who is Greer? Greer's name. Yeah, I know! I thought the exact same thing. Okay, so Nightwalker says Gira tells Blake she should wear armor and then rips off his own. I thought the exact same thing when he did that. I was like, why are you literally exposing all of your vital organs right now?
Well, again, aura is a thing, so armor doesn't really make that much. Until you run out of aura, it's not really that big of a thing. And also, that's what made me think he's like a were-panther almost, because again, he has this almost like a yang kind of thing, where he has this almost like, this, because again, he never came off as that kind of a person from what we know about him, but then it's like, as soon as he gets into a fight, it's like,
Hulk out! Yeah, exactly.
His biceps were huge!
He's enormous. He's a big dude.
He's a big dude. I'm afraid he's gonna be a big dead dude soon.
Yeah,
And I don't know,
He's gonna be
maybe
a
that's-
big
maybe
ass
that's-
corpse soon.
Maybe that's
Cory!
that might be giving too much to the Albanes, but we don't know what they're capable of.
No.
I like that. I like the little dust daggers. Those are really cool.
Yeah, I wanted to mention though, something I didn't notice until the third time I watched the episode was that fox faunus guard who was next to Gira, who like got shot in the back and then died in Gira's arms. He actually leapt in front of that bullet. I noticed on the third watch through. He like you can see him off to the side. He sees them about to shoot Gira and he leaps in front of it.
And if you look at Gira's reaction, it looks like he kind of understood that.
Which I went, oh god, that's a bit dark. But he literally threw himself in front of a bullet to save Gira. Which,
or dust. I think it was the Albanes. Yes, it could have been a dust, like a little fire charge. I'm not sure what it was.
Dust charge or
Dust
some
bullet,
shit. Yeah,
Some
dust.
Again,
shit.
that's all. That's another questionable thing about Ruby. Like, do you use bullets, or is it just dust? Is it just propelled bullets? That's all a thing as well.
They've always basically said that they are like dust bullets. Like you fire dust. They call them dust cartridges.
Yeah,
they're like little condensed, they're like bullets, but like rather than out of metal, it's just like condensed dust almost. Like so, like actually a bullet kind of thing.
Instead of gunpowder, it's ice dust. You know.
So
it's like a mix of like. Rather than having gunpowder, it's just the one thing. It's like all dust, rather than metal and gunpowder. It's just all dust kind of thing, I guess.
So the blades that the Albane twins have are called sais, and the thing that I noticed is that they're extremely similar to Ilya's weapon. They have the same sort of
I did,
like thin-tipped blade spiral design. So I'm like, is that kind of design sort of standard issue for the White Fang, or like you know, because they have the like rifles and stuff. But, like, you know, because those ones are so similar to Ilya's.
Trifa's didn't have that same kind of, but it was very carved. It had a lot of lines in it. Like, it had a lot of spirals and lines in it. So maybe that is a bit more of a standard of melee weapons in the White Fang, or at least maybe this particular branch, is to have the more, like, engraved or spiraling kind of weaponry. Because Trifa's just had like a carved. I don't know if it was a pocket knife or not, but it was like a carved dagger almost. And it had a lot of lines and engravings and stuff in it. So maybe that is something similar.
Ilya's weapon is lightning dust, but the Albane twins. I never know which is which. The one with the tail.
Fennec has the ears, and Corsac has the tail.
Corsac was wind dust, and Fennec's was fire dust. Which
I thought that too. Wouldn't it make more sense to be fire and ice though? Because it could have been ice. I feel like
it could have been ice. I mean, we didn't see him actually use it.
Most people say wind. Most people have said wind. I've read most people say wind.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure ice dust is actually blue. So
yeah, I guess. Well, it kind of. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at the scene. But,
actually, no, it is wind because in Volume 3, when Weiss used the white setting on Mertenast, it produced wind dust. So yeah, white is wind and blue is ice. Yeah, so it is wind dust. Yeah, God, dust is fucking confusing. So yeah,
I love it.
Gira's claws and teeth are revealed, and then he roars, and the episode just ends. I mean,
to be fair. When's the last time we had a cliffhanger in Ruby? When Ruby used to be known for cliffhangers. This is like the first cliffhanger. Like,
it was such an abrupt ending. That was the thing.
I liked it.
It was jarring.
I liked it, to be honest. I did. Okay.
I don't know. Every other time they've done cliffhangers, like in the middle of a fight, there's like a moment of a standoff, whereas this was just raw end.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Really took me by surprise.
I don't know what else I can say. I really liked that ending, but again, that's my opinion.
On my first watch through, it didn't bother me, but on my second, I was like, oh, that was so...
I mean, I will admit, whenever I keep rewatching that scene, and it's like, I want to see more black. It's like, damn it, rewind. And it is to the point where it's like, I'll keep wanting to see more, so it feels so jarring, because it just ends, so I want to see so much more of it.
It does just, like, cut off.
It is definitely, it's a cliffhanger even to a more extent what Ruby is known for. It's a cliffhanger of a cliffhanger almost. Like, it's that much more. Like, Emeralds I didn't mind, but even the Emeralds had was a jarring end as well, if you think Gira's was. I feel like you'd think that Emerald was probably
that's felt more standard for Ruby, because it had the moment of lead up with her just standing, walking there, and then it ended when she, like, put out her thing. I still think that shot should have gone on for, like, you know, just, like, half a second longer.
Yeah, a few more frames.
It's literally one frame where she has her guns out. It's
Yeah.
not. It's like one. It's not even a second. It's one frame.
Yeah. No, but
So
like
that's just-
the Gira, the ending of this episode was jarring because it was so in the middle of the action and there was no wind down. Is the thing usually when they?
I think the soldier dying and like them talking, then him getting ready to fight was enough of a slowdown for me personally.
See, I felt like that was a build up to something.
Yeah,
to,
I
like,
thought that was a build up too.
That was a build up to a fight that didn't happen, which is why it felt
I
so
mean,
weird.
but we've had so many moments where it's like it's almost reveal, episode ends. We get the reveal next episode. At least we got the reveal before the episode ended. You know, I feel like in Ruby we've got a lot of moments where it's like, we didn't get that reveal till next episode.
It still just makes me think of how well the cliffhanger for episode 6 of Volume 4, where like they have the scene where Crow's standing there with blocking the shot and kind of that whole thing, that whole end shot. It sets up that there's going to be a fight in the next episode, but it doesn't feel abrupt.
No,
which is why. But these have felt abrupt.
With that ending, there was action and then there was
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Whereas with this
understand
one,
what you're saying.
it cuts off literally in the middle of the action. And when I was watching it, I was like, did the episode just end? What?
I don't know. I mean, again, at the end of the day, I didn't mind it, but
Yeah,
again,
it felt
regardless,
very jarring to
I'm
me.
very excited to see. Yeah, and that's fair enough. But I'm definitely very excited to see next. Even though I doubt we'll get it next episode, we'll probably get episode 10.
I think we'll get it next episode.
I think it will be next episode, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
they'll
think
get
it'll
away
just
with
be
It just
ending.
seems like a lot of. Okay, fair enough.
I feel like it's too big of an event for them to get away with leaving it for a week. I feel like it's going to be a chapter 6, 7 of last volume deal where chapter 9...
I mean, I hope so. I'm definitely not disagreeing with you. I definitely want that to be the case.
Chapter 9 will close out with the resolution to this chapter, is what I feel like. But there'll be something else
also
before
really-
that happens.
I'm really, and I'm surprised. I'm so interested in Crow's subplot of the huntsman and criminals disappearing. I really want to see more of that for some reason. I don't know why.
I think
I'm
that
really interested in that because I hope it leads to a Winter or Team Sun show up in the show. But apart from that, I'm just really interested in that. So I still want to get some of that as well.
I was interested in that too, but I think that they've wasted too much screen time and that they can't.
It was a pretty long scene for a subplot like that.
Yeah,
But,
so
but if it's going to be really significant going forward, then I'm obviously I'll be okay with it in that case.
Yeah. Oh, well, that about covers the chapter. We'll talk predictions, but if there's anything we missed, I don't think there is.
I just saw a comment. I'm not sure. Is it Nightwalker? I think he said the guard that was shot was the same one in episode 3. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
that guy's name was Saber. He had a name, and he was a rat faunus. He wasn't a fox faunus.
No.
Yeah, he was Saber Rodentia.
Yeah, he had the same
had
skin
the scar.
complexion. But that wasn't the same guard that got killed. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too.
Because he had a name, so I feel like he's going to be important going forward. Probably after this fight, or maybe he shows up in this one. I'm not sure.
I also don't think we're seeing Raven or Cinder in chapter 9. I feel like...
Still don't think we're going to get that yet?
No. I don't think we're going to see at all what goes on in the bandit camp. I feel like the next thing we're going to hear about that is either Raven coming to Crow for help, or when Crow and company show up at the bandit camp and the place is blown to bits.
See, I'm completely okay with that, but I know how the fandom works, and I think one of the biggest issues people keep having with the show is that they keep telling us about showing us. I've never had that problem with the show. I've never minded that at all.
No, we don't want to see everything that happens.
No,
like, we
but
have
I know
imaginations.
I can imagine the fandom will hate that, though, if we don't see that Cinder destroying everything, or Ember to Mercury destroying everything. I know the fandom will blow up if we don't see that. So I hope...
Yeah, people will be annoyed.
I feel like what we'll see though is, like we were talking about this I think last week, is that right now Cinder has been instructed to try and come to a peaceful conclusion, so that way maybe their first go at Raven will be unsuccessful, and we will end up seeing the second fight, which will be more violent, and we'll probably see the maiden versus maiden fight that everyone wants to see and stuff. We'll probably end up seeing that, but I don't think the event that they started to lead up to in chapter 7, I don't think we will see any of that really.
Yeah.
No,
do you think that Ranger and Juniper of the Wall that will be when they show up to the camp as well, looking for Vernal?
Yeah.
Probably. They'll probably be very close together.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing, too. You mentioned, too, how you think, Beck, you said that you think we'll see Raven show up to Crow or whatever.
It's a possibility, yeah.
I think we'll see Vernell show up. I think Raven will send Vernell away to keep her safe.
I don't think she would do that.
Yeah.
I think that
she
Raven
wouldn't hand
wants
Spring
to,
Maiden over.
Raven
to keep her
wants
out
to
of
play
Salem's hand, I
Vernell
think she would.
very close to the chest. And because also Raven knows that Crow wants Vernell. So the last thing she's going to do is send Vernell
I think
to
even
him.
Raven would prefer Crow to have her than Salem.
But she knows the Crow is with the Ozpin is with Crow, so she does not trust.
She does
either.
not trust Ozpin at all. Yeah.
So
Fine, then send her to Ty. You're gonna see Ty again.
She doesn't seem to be too fond of Ty either. This is the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does call him a fool, so you know. But bet she had a
Fine,
baby
we'll
with him.
send her to Ty. Just send her to Ty just so we can see his why.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
his why's sake.
I know, I miss Why.
Vernal shows up with Zwei.
What the fuck?
All of them.
Oh, gee. Yeah, no, so next chapter I feel like it's definitely going to close out with the remainder of what we saw at the end of this chapter, with the Blake. Gira's going to die.
You don't think it will start with that, though?
No.
You think there'll be something else?
No, I think it
No.
will
Okay.
end. The chapter will end with that. It will end. Gira's going to die, and it will end with the fallout from that.
Yeah, so if I don't say anything...
I don't know if it'll actually show the fallout of that, though. I think
No,
it'll
not the
be like
fallout, but
Gira
like,
dies.
You know, Gira will die, it will be sad, Blake will cry.
Do you really think the Albanians are going to kill Gira?
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think they're good enough to kill Gira?
Yep.
Okay,
Probably.
I don't know if they're good enough, but like...
If say Yuma or Ilya came in to do it, I'd be a bit more... Okay. I don't know if I just see the Albanians being able to do it. Okay, we don't know about the Albanians. They could be really fucking skilled fighters. We don't know. But
Are you also like confused as to why they're even there? Because like they're directly getting their hands
Cory was saying
involved in a murder.
I do remember seeing someone say that. But if they kill the witnesses, then you know it's not an issue. But I do remember someone saying that like it's like they made this whole plan, but then they show up themselves and they give them away. Well, if their plan is to kill everyone, then it's not that big of a deal.
Carly isn't gonna die, and I'll tell you why, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for them to...
Fandom would kill Miles and Carrie if they killed Carly.
But apart from that,
for one...
it doesn't make sense for them to kill Carly over Gira. Because Gira is much more significant to the White Fang and to the overall plot and to Blake's story than Carly is. Carly's just sort of there.
Okay, from the Albane's perspective, I agree with that. But from the orders they were given from Adam... I think they would want to just kill both just because Adam told them to. But
I'm talking about from like a writing perspective is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to kill Carly over Gira.
Their orders is clearly kill everyone in the premises.
Either both of them will die or Gira. There's no way Carly just dies.
No,
I'll agree with
that's
that.
not gonna happen.
No way. If both of them could die, but definitely not just Carly. 100%.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. If they do that, I will eat my own face. Because it's not going to happen.
I don't want to see that just because I want to see how the hell you'd get around trying to do that.
Well, I wouldn't because it's not going to happen. That's how sure I am that it's just not going to... Yeah, no, Carly is fine. If they kill Carly, the fandom would riot, and it doesn't make sense from a writing perspective. So
I think Gira's death would have the bigger impact.
Well. I think if Carly died, Sun would just become like... He would go Super Saiyan. Sun would just like, destroy everything. It's like...
Gira's fucked. So
everybody
say your farewells now. Gira's dead next chapter.
I also foresee Ilya dying at some point.
Yeah, not next chapter.
Because I don't think she's a character that can live.
Maybe sacrificing herself like at a very later point, maybe something like that.
Yeah. I don't think the Ilya's surviving the volume, but I do think that her redeeming act will be dying for.
I think she'll survive the volume. I don't think she'll survive the series. I think she'll definitely be around for more volumes.
I don't know. I think I don't think they
such a significant character for them to have introduced. So they gave her a character short, basically.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know. I think that will be her redeeming thing. Will be before she leaves for Haven.
Only through death will she be
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like she'll see Blake and she'll have a moment where I don't know, she'll die for Kali or something. I don't know. She'll have that will be her redeeming moment. Will be dying for Sun or for Kali or maybe
That'd
even
be cool
for
it might be a bit out of a character, but cool if she like died protecting Sun for Blake, because you know I imagine whether Blake feels this way, I'm not going to get into that, but from Ilya's perspective, I think she could easily see that Sun and Blake are together, and maybe has a moment of wanting to prove her love by saving Blake's actual love, being in her mind Sun. Even though I am a Black Sun over Bumblebee, but that's just a whole other thing. But yeah, so it would be interesting to see if she would do that. I'd be very interested.
I feel like it's actually more likely for Ilya to kill Sun than to sacrifice herself for him.
Yeah, that becomes the other thing.
I still think the two biggest Death Flag characters, in my opinion, are Emerald and Sun. I've always felt that. So, if Sun was going to die, I think Ilya would do it, and it sucks. I love Sun. I know everyone hates him, but I love Sun.
I love Sun too.
I love Sun.
But I also he's been marked for death for so long.
I know. I've been expecting him to die for a volume and a half, and it hasn't happened. I'm like, it's gonna happen.
The funny thing is, I feel like if Emerald had more screen time, she would be in that same case, but she hasn't had enough screen time to me to actually feel that way.
No,
but I think she's as marked for death as well. I remember the idea that maybe she accidentally becomes a maiden and then she turns good. Emerald, that'd be cool for them to do that. If she unintentionally gets a maiden's power, then becomes a good character.
I feel like there's definitely potential for a redemption arc for Emerald, absolutely, and I would love that. Because
who would you prefer, Ilya or Emerald, to get a redemption arc?
Emerald.
I would rather see Emerald, yeah.
Okay. I guess because Emerald's a bit more of an established character.
Yeah. All Emerald needs is just a little bit of love.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Emerald, like, she's kind of... Yeah, she's a bit of a wild card. It's a bit hard to know what she's gonna do. She
has moments of, like, she's questioning it, but then she has moments of where she absolutely is in love with Cinder, like Stockholm Syndrome kind of thing.
Yeah.
To the point where she wouldn't betray Cinder because that's how much she cares for Cinder in a Stockholm kind of way.
Yeah.
But then she has moments where like she feels like she's uncomfortable. So it's really interesting. I'm really interested to see if she's going to be getting more screen time from now on, how that will develop.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Me too. Okay, so yeah, as far as Chapter 9 goes, we're definitely getting the resolution to what they set up in this chapter. Apart from that, I'm not sure.
I would say the Crow and Ozpin subplot with the Huntsman disappearing. That's my opinion. That's what I would say.
Possibly, yeah.
I think that
we've got enough Ranger stuff for like an episode. I feel like we can skip out on the Yang, Weiss, Ruby stuff. Maybe we get the Jean Ozpin confrontation finally, if we're going to get that.
Yeah, I know. I think that they'll start setting up for heading to. They'll start planning their assault to take Bernal. Because
maybe get some Leo again. We haven't got him since episode 2.
There's been no Salem since then either. I feel like bad guys is more likely. Because I feel like
Salem and Tyrion. I'd like to see that.
It's true. I feel like Chapter 9 is going to be quite dark.
Yeah.
So
Hazel, because of Hazel, Adam maybe.
Hazel,
sorry, I'm just saying the things out. Could see again.
There are a lot of It's very hard for me to predict what we're going to see this chapter, just because so far we haven't. Every time I've thought we're going to see something, we've seen something else. So, but we haven't had villains in a very, very long time. Villains being Salem, Leo, so hopefully, but I don't see why we would see Salem now, because everybody whose story
I don't think we'll see Salem
was around,
which is
Salem.
Good. I think the less screen time we have for Salem for now is the better. I feel like she got too much in Volume 4, and that's a weird thing to say. I feel like she should have been kept a bit more mysterious than she has been. So if we don't see her, because there's no, again, unless we see like a Tyrion Salem confrontation or that meeting, which we might not. Unless we saw that, I wouldn't say there's a reason to see Salem again. Yeah,
to be fair, even though we have seen quite a lot of Salem, we still know nothing about her, which is
of course
interesting. Because she did have quite a bit of screen time last volume, but she's still so mysterious. We still don't know anything about why she's doing this, what exactly she is. We know now from Raven that she is the Grimm's master, but we don't understand what that means. Yeah, we actually got
very short confirmation that she does have some level of, like, obviously I would say obviously she's not the, I still think obviously she's not the Dark Brother, she's not the Dark God.
No.
But who created the Grimm, but she does have some level of maybe connection or some level of control over the Grimm still. So definitely interesting to see why. And
I still think that it's going to be like a weird thing where, like, you know, Ozpin's like the avatar of the God of Light, and or the champion.
I don't think so. Just because he was, a champion makes more sense. Because he was cursed by the gods. I don't think. I'm always been of the mind that the gods aren't even a thing anymore. They've left Remnant. The gods don't even like exist anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was a thing of the past. Where now it's just left to Ozpin, who was their chosen champion, who either just didn't give a shit and got cursed for it, and then Salem, the one who actually rivaled the gods to try to defeat them, and succeeded, or just simply just barely failed, but got maybe control of the Grim as a just maybe that's what she got out of it, or something.
All right, yeah.
I think the less that they tap into the gods, the better, because
I'm glad that they brought that up, but I don't. Yeah, let's not. I don't want this to be like a Digimon thing where it turns out there's a new higher power every single time you defeat the next one.
I don't want
Salem's
this...
a high power. Let's leave it at that. Let's not have the main villain like after 10 volumes we defeat Salem, then volume 11 is just them fighting the dark gods. Like, no, let's not do that.
Yeah, let's not turn this into a god battle. Like, nobody wants that.
Go watch Dragon Ball Z for that.
Yeah.
Or Dragon Ball Super, I should say.
Buckle up, everyone. Chapter 9 is going to be a dark one.
So I think the rest of the volume is going to be pretty up there in terms of
high
octane. I think.
I feel like there's still at this point potential for the volume to have its light moments. Everything's not quite gone to shit yet. It's just Blake's side of stuff that's all about to go to shit. So yeah, buckle up. It's going to be dark.
Which, of course, that's Blake. Of course, it's going to shit for Blake.
Brace yourselves for Gira death. Yeah, because I don't see really a scenario where it doesn't happen. So yeah, who knows? We'll just have to watch and see.
I don't know. Some part of me doesn't kind of envision a whole army of boats of Faunus heading to Mistral without Gira there. Like I can't imagine Blake leading a bunch of Faunus to Mistral to fight.
Oh no, if she goes alone. Yeah, with just her and son. That's who it'll be. Or she'll take Carly with her probably as well. Because Carly wouldn't be safe in Menage.
Okay, if we do that, could we just tell Crow to be on his best behaviour? Could we not have anything between Carly and Crow? Let's not Crow,
that would be a great ship.
It would. No, actually, that would actually be an amazing ship. But let's just not. Just let's not. Crow, calm down. You go find Winter. Go find Winter.
Snowbird. So yeah, brace yourselves. Of course, once the chapter's thumbnail and title are posted, I will be posting them on my Twitter, and that will give us a big idea as to what the content of the episode is going to be. So we'll know more once we see that, and I'll be posting it on my Twitter as well. So,
and obviously, I don't know how many people watch it here, if you guys do, but of course, if it's over now, but tomorrow morning at least we'll be able to watch the Ruby Rewind and see that preview for that. I watch the Rewind previews personally.
I don't watch the previews because I do reactions.
I know a lot of people don't. Just if people do reactions, obviously wouldn't.
Yeah.
But there'll be some information there, so I'll be happy to get that. Yeah.
And so far, the previews have been quite spoilery, so I was like, I'm going to stay away from
it. I guess. Yeah. I guess I have.
Like the preview for chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4 was Yang about to fight all those bandits. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's a big spoiler. So I and I didn't watch that until after I'd seen the chapter. But I was like, I'm staying away from these previews. They give too much away.
I remember when I saw the Crow one from episode 7, I think it was, where he went to the bar. I was like, that's cool. Like, cause it was so out of random. I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. That's a cool little random thing. But yeah. It'd be interesting to see. Very much looking forward. I mean, love Ruby so much. I'm very looking. No matter what, I'm always looking forward. But especially after the Gira, Were Panther, as I like to say. Definitely interesting to see where this goes.
Yes, definitely. Going to be a dark one this week.
Yeah.
Get your tissues out.
I mean, it's so funny because one of my favorite things with Ruby was like the penultimate episode of Volume 2. So I'm hoping to get, because this is like the volume 2 of this arc, I'm hoping we get a really good ending. Not that the volume 2 finale was that good, but what led up to it was really good.
I feel like this is more going to be closer to volume 3 than 2.
Yeah. Beck and I have always said that we think this volume ends with Haven's fall.
Yeah.
I definitely agree that I feel like that was more going to happen this volume than would be the next. But I don't know if we'll actually. I feel like it might start. We might get the end of it, maybe the start of next volume. I don't know if it just feels like it'll be a bit. I don't know. I guess it
would
was
be
rushed
weird for them to do that.
It was quick in volume. It feel like to me it feel weird just to them to say cram all that we know already and the Haven Assault all in the end of this volume. But it is 2
There's
episodes.
a lot of volume left.
Yeah, we still probably got about an hour and a half of volume left.
Yeah. I always forget that. I always forget like how much we still have left of the volume.
We have heaps left. Like
we really do.
We're one episode over halfway through. So like
that's the thing. Like for a series that has. For a series that's only like 12 episodes, a very few amount of volumes, the episodes aren't even that long. Why is it still feels like there's so much, but there's so little time we actually have with these characters. But it feels like it just feels like the series feels so much longer than it actually is.
This volume in particular, because we know we're getting 2 extra chapters as well. And
well, I mean, this volume already, like, when we got to episode 7, I was like, so much has happened already. How is this only halfway through the volume?
Well, the first 2 chapters were each in excess of 20 minutes, which has never, ever happened before. So, like, that in and of itself made the whole volume, like, skyrocket as far as screen time was concerned.
Yeah. The first half of the volume was as long as volume 1. The first half of this was just as long as volume 1.
Yeah,
so
I was cutting it together, and the total screen time for chapters 1 through 7 of volume 4 is the same length as the entirety of volume 1, which is insane to me. Like, volume 1 was so fucking short, but yeah, it's like we've already got the entirety of volume 1 in half of volume 5, so it's like there's heaps left, so much more.
And it is a lot, and it is already a lot better.
Oh yeah,
the offense of volume 1.
They're not even in the same league as each other. It's like a different show.
I also want to point out, especially listening to Cara this episode, God, the voice acting, especially of Aaron as well, is just getting so good.
Oh yeah,
they are getting better every episode, and it's so satisfying. Like Aaron sounded depressed, like when she was talking to Ilya that whole scene, and it was just so great. And Weiss too talking to Yang, Cara, because I've always been a little off Cara. Sometimes I like her, sometimes I don't. In an episode like this, I absolutely love her so much. In an episode like this,
yeah, and Babs as well doing Yang has been challenging this volume and the last.
I wasn't a big fan of the Boop line. That made me cringe a bit. But apart from that, yes, I agree.
Yeah,
I only thought it was a little cringy because the animation wasn't in time with her saying Boop.
Yeah,
so like she was like Boop, and then her hair kind of.
And she's like Boop. It just Leave the booping Snora. Leave the booping Snora. It was a little weird,
yeah.
Yeah. But I get what they were going for.
Yeah, okay. So we'll wrap this up now.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to Cinder. We haven't done the Icebreaker, but what we might do is we might wait until Cinder's around later and shoot the Icebreaker, because it will only take a few minutes. But yeah, so yep, I'll be posting the thumbnail and the title of Chapter 9 on my Twitter when we get that. When do we usually get those?
Probably
Thursday.
Late Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
Well, Thursday for me.
We can get a Thursday night on some occasion. It depends, obviously, how quickly they get uploaded, more or less.
So, we'll know, in a day or two, what that's going to be. And
it
will give us a better idea about the events of the chapter as well. Because the titles often have multiple meanings, so... like, Alone Together.
I mean, Alone Together alone, like, that itself is contradictory, so it's just like...
thank you so much for watching. Dawn, thank you for being here.
No problem. I love it.
Make sure to get that Icebreaker in later when Cinder is available. I'm not sure what happened there, but
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it happens. We're used to it.
That's right.
So yeah, and we will see you next week for the Boopcast number 24 for Chapter 9, and we haven't confirmed who we're having on that week yet. So we won't say who we've got lined up, but... I just read the chat, Nightwaker reminded me that Emerald killed Penny, and now I absolutely hate Emerald again. Never mind. I mean... I hope she doesn't get redeemed. To be fair, though, to Emerald, Penny was a robot, not a person, so... How dare you! I'm saying, from Emerald's perspective, she didn't know Penny, she never interacted with her. So
I miss Penny.
I know everybody misses Penny.
Penny hurt me a lot more than Peter. So I'm so sad about Penny.
Feel like
Still.
as far as characters we've lost goes, Penny has the most likelihood to come back. So I'm not as
true.
bummed about her as Pyrrha, because I know Pyrrha's definitely not coming back, and that hurts me. So.
And Penny doesn't have to come back as Penny, as long as her character story isn't done yet. Yeah. I don't mind if she doesn't ever get resurrected, but I feel like her father, her connection to like the maidens and all the soul transferring, there's more there to be explained.
Yeah.
There's more potential story there when we eventually get to Alice, if we get there.
They didn't show her father when she was ripped apart for no reason. I'm just gonna put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. That's always what I'm playing as well. I'm surprised we didn't see him at the performance or anything in Weiss's arc.
I feel like if and when Penny does return, she won't be the same Penny, and she likely won't remember Ruby or anybody.
But then I'd love to see that development of her relearn of like her becoming the old Penny again, maybe, or just even becoming a new person. Again, it's just a story that I just don't want to see end. That's all.
Yeah. No, Penny.
I feel like
Penny
she was such a great character.
It's yeah. We haven't seen the last of her, so don't despair. But
I'm trying.
Anyway, we'll wrap this up now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Bye bye.
Bye guys.
Where's the mute button?